there is one thing we cannot deny. It's that the pandemic puts the PDF format in the light all over the world, and especially in France. Yes, PDF, this old technology, almost every French person thinks you cannot do anything with it in a simple way. So this session will be divided into 4 parts. So the first 2 are quite straightforward. We'll talk about the global successes of PDF during the pandemic and the failures that we experimented, especially in France. But rest assured, I don't think other countries would have done better in the same situation. Well, maybe. And you probably have many examples that illustrate this theory. So we'll talk about the state of PDF in 2022 in a mobile-first world that started many years ago. And we will finish with the different pain points of PDF users and developers and what we need to work on before we get caught on the next crisis. So before we dive in, a few words about myself. So I'm the former Orpalis COO, and I've been working there since the start of the company in 2007. A few months ago, Orpalis joined the PS PDF Kit group, and I'm now focusing on marketing and writing. I'm also a lecturer in various subjects related to communication and writing, and I'm also, like Thomas said, a PDF Association board member. So what I wanted to start with is the current state of things now that we've experienced this pandemic through and through, well, hopefully, maybe. So in the first year of COVID, many still had hopes that the world would come back better after this crisis. However, I'm not sure 2022 lived up to this promise, well, at least until now. So if we look at the PDF world, it's a bit more nuanced. So PDF and the companies using it are in a bit of a roller coaster at the moment. So it's spinning. You just don't want to be the little girl that looks really scared, or maybe it's a PDF user, who knows. The other one seems to be really having fun. So first, we will see what did work in the past 2 or even 3 years, because something worked. First is PDF editing. So correlation is not necessarily causation, but still, I've put 2 Google trend graphs, one global and one for France. You can see that the trend spikes in April 2020. Well, in France, for some reason, it spikes in many years before. I have no idea why. And the first lockdown started after March 15th. So now, if we look at digital signing, it's even more obvious. The first one is France, the second one is global. So yes, it's the same here. First one is, the research word is modifier PDF, and the other one is edit PDF. So now it's like signer PDF and sign PDF. So the trend is really, really obvious. We've all seen the stellar rise of DocuSign in the stock market, also called the COVID winners at the time. Well, maybe not so much today, but that's another story. Then QR codes. So even if QR codes don't have to be on PDFs to exist, they're often associated. So everyone has them on COVID passes and vaccination certification in PDF format, of course, but also on physical paper, apps, various surfaces, so we avoid getting germs by touching them. And the trend in France is really interesting because we can see that the first spike matches the release of travel attestations, so I will tell you more about that, and the second that matches the COVID vaccination certificates. So I could not believe how many reportages of this new QR code technology I saw in the news at the time. It was insane. So of course, the headlines were always something scary, like, should we trust QR codes? Is the QR code going to steal my personal data? The secrets behind QR code technology, and so on. People had absolutely no clue what a QR code is. So actually, this subject became so important that our company received an email from DensoWave, so the Japanese automotive company, the creator of the QR code, asking us to explicitly mention their trademark on our website because we carry QR code support in our products. So they still own the trademark, we have to know that, even if it's a standard and that can be used for free. Then another success, PDF apps. So these apps are the other big winners of COVID. So I just listed a few here, but there are many, many, many more, and I couldn't put them all on one slide. So with also a dramatic increase in traffic during the various lockdowns. At Orpalis, we own the AVPDF one, so that's why how we could see some trends. And I also can tell an anecdote that happened at our company. So at some point by the end of 2020, during some maybe first or second lockdown, I don't remember, we saw a huge spike coming from Brazil. And after some research, we saw that it was the Ministry of Education of Brazil that had embedded several of our AVPDF widgets on the government website, recommending all teachers and pupils to use these tools for their homework and to hand in various administrative papers. So and now that people discovered that these free apps are very convenient, they still use them daily. So it's not time to move on what didn't work so well, and for this I will take the example of my own country. So France and the travel pass saga, a story in many episodes. So apparently in our country, the use of travel restriction certificates is documented as early as the 18th century, as you can see as in this picture. So what happened in 2020? So we all heard this message in the news. So since March 17 at noon, it is no longer possible to travel outside your home without a compelling reason. In addition, you must always carry a signed and dated travel certificate with the reason of your trip in case of control by the police. Otherwise, you will have to pay a fine of 135 euro. It was for the first time you get caught, then it was 300 euros, then it was 1,000 something, and then I get you're in really bad trouble. So the first episode. So you had to print or copy by hand the PDF. So in March 2020 was the first of many versions of the Certificate of Travel Restriction Waiver. So I will just call it an attestation because it's a word in French and it's faster. So what do we do with the attestation? Which is, in this first version, a PDF file that you can download on the government website. So you have several choices to do with this document. You can either print this PDF and fill it out by hand, copy the full text by hand, fill the PDF online somehow. The form was absolutely terrible and didn't work almost with anything. Print it and sign it by hand. Of course, don't use it on mobile because the form was not working on mobile at all. And most important, you cannot show the digital version of the attestation. It has to be paper because the police wants paper only and because we all know that a paper document is original and impossible to be tampered with. So, episode number 2. Attestation on PDF not accessible. So the next day, people realize the PDF you need to print or to fill how you can, and given by the government, is not accessible. Accessibility Association raised the issue and provides a solution in no time. Thank you for them. We had to wait for the next version to have an accessible PDF on the government website. That's good, we're not in Canada, because over there, I guess you would have a lot more problems if a government website would give the whole population a non-accessible form or website. Well, that's another thing. So at some point, we almost had a new version every day, several times a day, so nobody had the same version. And then things were starting to fall into place for a few hours. People are getting used by the new rules, writing their papers by hand. They've got to do what they got to do. For a while, there was still the talk of being able to present a digital version of the document by displaying it on a smartphone. But this possibility had been rejected by the government, which argues, among other things, for reason of computer security. So it was necessary to present a printed or handwritten certificate, and for each day that the confinement will last. So this means you have to write a new one every time you're going outside. So you need a lot of paper. After complaints of everyone, they said, okay, maybe we're going to try to do the digital version. But then another plot twist. Just hours after the government said yes to PDF attestations, on March 19th, security issues are raised impacting PDF files. We had 3 main problems that all arrived at the same time the same day, but some of them were quite older. Chrome had a known zero-day vulnerability dating back to 2018 in its PDF viewer that was fixed in April 2020. Basically, a PDF opened in Adobe Reader was fine, but when opened in Chrome, it was sending the PDF data to a suspicious server. Then we had infamous PDF signature vulnerability. discovered by the PDF Insecurity Initiative from the University of Bochum that you can hear about tomorrow at this conference. So if you remember, they identified 3 main attacks. So a universal signature forgery, which manipulates the metadata of the signature, incremental saving attack that makes signed PDFs impossible to modify except by adding content at the end of the file, a signature wrapping attack, which allows moving a part of the signed content to inject new data. Then, on top of that, it turns out that on March 17, Adobe issued a security alert about vulnerabilities in Acrobat. So the vulnerabilities affected several versions of Acrobat for Windows and macOS. The company called them important or critical because they would allow, if exploited by malicious third party, which is not proven today that it had happened, to steal data remotely or threaten the integrity of the computer. So they published an emergency update right away, but the French government freaked out, basically, and asked people not to use Acrobat and not to use PDF because in the mind of French people, again, PDF can only be viewed on Acrobat because it belongs to Adobe. So no PDFs until everybody installed emergency updates. So we were back to paper and handwriting, and for each day that the confinement would last, things were getting really annoying. And it stayed complicated for a while. So we had many other problems. Because the attestation was really easy to modify, to make fakes. Here is an example of an attestation that I made for my colleague so she could come at the office. So the form had to be filled online or by hand, printed, and then stamped with the official company stamp, which is a physical stamp. So I filled that site online, no issue, with all the tools you have at hand, but I didn't have any ink printer, and the stamp was at the office. So what do? So I don't have any other choice to copy and paste the image of the company stamp taken from somewhere. I sent it back to my colleague, asking her to print it herself because I couldn't do it. It was so easy to make forms. I just don't know how people who got caught, and I know quite a few, and had a fine, didn't simply make fake ones. Nobody would tell the difference. Remember, we're still at the early stages of the pandemic. There is no QR code on the form. Nobody knew what we were doing. I know it's easy to make fun of the whole thing now, but we didn't know at the time. And then we had, other issues that were really not related to PDF. At some point, the form was so complex that people joked about needing several PhDs to understand it. So that's why we had all over Twitter this hashtag called AttestationGate, because it was impossible to understand what we were supposed to do. So what did the government do? In the end, so they decided we're going to do an app, finally. So we had, at some point before the app on the smartphone, we had a hybrid version that generated a PDF with a QR code on it. So now the police simply flashes the code to get your travel information. And in the end, they finally developed the app, so everyone with a smartphone was simply using the app. For the others, they could still have the paper. So now we can see what's almost working, but not quite. So I know that you could say that my illustration is a bit old, it's from 2018, and you would be right. However, I could have put a screenshot of a tweet I just saw last week, but my slides were done already, so I couldn't put it here. But here what he said. It's 2022, why are you emailing me PDF forms? Seriously, you seriously want me to print this out and scan it? Or maybe I could use the horror shows that is markup on Apple preview iPhones. So this could have been me talking about my banker, actually, like always sending me papers that I need to print out and scan it and send back as PDF. And then it says again, I just think standard processes should be easy. Filling out simple PDF paper forms ranges from not actively horrible if you have a laptop and a good software to miserable if you use the most popular smartphones and the built-in markup tools. What's even more funny or crazy or sad, I'm not sure, is I just found out about this Scan to PDF app with an ad that I saw on Google that said, tired of being asked to print and scan your signed PDF? Just use a digital signature, upload your document, and we will make it look like it was scanned. because, yeah, they must work from the French government, I guess, because having just a PDF form with a digital signature doesn't seem real to them. It looks more fake, so you need to do it by hand. So that's why you have this kind of apps that says that can make your digitally signed PDF and filled online that looks like a real scanned paper. So we keep seeing, we keep seeing the same complaints over and over, and we know that solutions already exist. So you can optimize and hypercompress your PDFs easily. You can linearize them for fast web view. PDFs are interactive, it's in the specification. They can be made accessible, it's what PDF UA is for. You can even have responsive PDFs on mobile now, and find mobile apps with the same functionalities found on desktop apps, so scan to PDF, OCR, edit, redact, etc. So what is the matter and what this is not working as it should? So what should we do now? So what is holding PDF back? So there is a combination of psychological barriers and actual technical issues that need to be looked at. From the user's point of view, we saw in this presentation that many people still think that PDF are not editable, not accessible, and can carry vulnerabilities. And they are overall hard to manage. Everyone hates scanned PDF, but many situations requires you to scan your PDF. And with what happened with the attestation gate in France, you can understand very much why many people think, they still hate PDF. So besides the small number of professionals, most people, at least in France, are still not aware about PDF subsets. That's also something that I learned by organizing the PDF days in France in 2018, I think it was. Many people had not even heard of PDF-A. And worse, many still think that the format belongs to Adobe, so you need to pay something in the end, and so why bother? If we look at developers, PDF are also often complicated to deal with for many reasons. Because, as we said just before, malformed PDFs exist and you can still read them. Every single tool has a different implementation than its competitor. The specification is long, cumbersome, and sometimes not explicit enough. PDF is a collection of other technologies, so you need to know about managing other formats that you can find in PDF. You need to know about compression schemes, fonts, and it takes many years to be a PDF expert. And as most people know here, it's very hard to find PDF developers or even developers interested in working with the format. But people are working hard to change things. So just at the PDF associations, there are many projects. Of course, I didn't put everything here. So there is the ISO 32005 and the PDF reuse technical working group for better tagged and structured PDF. If you want to know more about this, I think there are several presentations about this. Then we need to make also the specification more agile and reliable. Again, that's what Peter Wyatt presented at the keynote this morning, so people are also working on this. There is the DARPA SafeDoc initiative, so to make PDF safer. This is really a massive project, so with a lot of people involved from different groups, organizations, universities. There is also, I didn't put it on the slide, but the PDF raster, so the subset of the PDF file format for storing, transporting, and exchanging raster image documents, especially scanned documents. Then you have, of course, the corpus of erratas. There are so many different projects that are taking place at the moment. From vendors, also, academia and PDF open source communities, there are also many projects. A lot of people, almost every PDF company is now working with AI technologies related with PDF and to help overcome many challenges. We will also have some presentation about that tomorrow with my colleague Mathush. There is a PDF insecurity initiative, so they were the ones that discovered the problems with the digital signatures. The PDF detectives that are always here to find out what's the worst PDF you can find and how you can do things better. How you can use PDF with blockchain, smart contracts. So my colleague Neil from Aquaforest will tell you more about it tomorrow also, and more. So to conclude, we can say that we already know that PDF is not going anywhere. We thought that the digitization of societies was well underway before COVID, but the COVID crisis taught us that we are far from done in many countries. So compared to other countries like North America and Northern Europe, France was a bit behind before the pandemic. But now the government keeps pouring money into its services, and companies are asked to make all efforts possible to accelerate the transition. Next year, for instance, the electronic invoicing system will be mandatory for all in France, and it's a system that includes PDF. And trust me, most companies are still not ready. We're not ready ourselves. It's in, next year. So, with the market is expanding worldwide at a fast pace, you can remember the first picture I put with the little girl spinning. The industry is consolidating like never before with a new acquisition every month. So it's really, times that I don't think PDF has seen such times like this before. But we just have to be careful that PDF is not abandoned in certain cases in favor of mobile apps, because most of them are just simply easier to use. And we really have to be quick to make all our efforts, because the next crisis is coming, and we'll probably have a lot more challenges than just trying to do things digitally, because with no power, it will be a bit more complex. And that's it for me. Thank you very much.